Welcome to the Answers for Elders radio show. Meet the trusted experts who will give you straight answers and will help guide you on the path of later life care. Now, here's your host, founder, caregiver, and CEO, Suzanne Newman.
And welcome back, everyone, to Answers for Elders Radio Network. And I'm here with Brynne Malone, who is the CEO and founder of Aging Solutions Northwest. But Brynne, you handle people, first of all, you are Northwest, but you handle people all across the USA, do you not?
Yes, that's correct. I work with sons and daughters throughout the United States, Alabama, New York, Kentucky, across the United States. I'm fortunate because really I'm set up to be a education resource, knowledgeable advisor to come in and help families just know what questions to ask, because I hear that all the time. We don't know what to ask. We don't know where to go from here. So how do we do that? So
well, and I think too, that goes to one of the reasons why Answers for Elders was found, because I remember what it was like when I was taking care of my mother. And I remember the first few times going to senior living organizations, communities, and trying to find a place for her to go into assisted living. And I remember I didn't even know what to ask. I felt like I was a deer in the headlights. And here I was, a vice president of a publishing media company. You would think that I've never felt more stupid in my life. But it caused me to realize there is such a need out there with families, and it's okay to ask questions. It's okay to take, a situation and say, you know what, I'm in deep water over this. I don't necessarily know what I don't know, and I need help. And that's okay. And I think that's really what's important. And so, Brynne, I'm so glad that you are part of this, because when we think about financial wellness, if we look forward to our life when we retire, or when we are in a situation where we can no longer work anymore, what are the actual resources that are available to us if we run out of money? That's one of the questions we should all ask. And I would say the majority of senior living communities don't take people on Medicaid. And so you're going to go into a Medicaid situation. You have to think about that. Okay, well, I'm going to have to do a spend down, but how do I select a community that is going to take care of me if I run out of money? So those are all questions that you need to ask, that you need to take the time to, to go through. So I guess that's the thing that I look at. And so obviously, Brynne, I'm going to ask you a question. It's like, what are the modern day dangers to a person's financial well-being? What goes on in the world right now that could cause, a situation where you don't have resources?
Yeah, there's a number of financial flags that we want to look at. A couple of things: if you're a child and you're going home and mom and dad's mail is piling up and they're having an open mail, then they may be getting behind on their bills. So that's something to be aware of. But a couple of things just historically that are impacting where people are financially is inflation's takes a huge bite out of a person's buying power. So they're not really sure, what they can afford. They don't ask the question, can I afford this? And, how long can I afford this? Which you were alluding to with the assisted living buildings. Some other contributing factors is there's a number of folks who are out there, and I hate to say this, but they're preying upon the vulnerability of our aging population, of our age-rich population.
Sadly, that's very true.
Yeah, it might be an HVAC person, a roofing person, a cable internet person,
caregiver, not going through a private caregiver. Oh my gosh, but also family members. I hate to say that, but the statistics show the number one statistic of elder abuse, financial abuse, is through adult children or
adult children. Yeah, so you want to have some insulation and barriers, and I think that's where having a third-party professional like myself or a care manager in your home market, if you need boots on the ground there, really can be helping look over and supporting your mom and dad. It also insulates the children. It typically in a family environment, it falls to the female caregiver, honestly, and usually, it's usually one Yeah. And it's usually one caregiver, and then there's resentment that grows out of that because everyone else flies in, and we call them the seagull
Mhm.
siblings, because they fly in and they flutter around and they create a lot of chaos and they fly back to wherever they're
That's
from.
funny, but it
Right.
happens a lot. And and
Yeah.
I always tell siblings, if you have a sibling that is the primary caregiver, your job is not to interfere in that, but to support their wishes of how that person. And number one, your parent selected them, and number two is that you don't see the day to day. And so, when I talk to families all the time that are at odds over, the direction, it's like, you know what? If somebody's taking care of a loved one, the average caregiver spends 20 hours a week, and oftentimes they have a full-time job. So what you're dealing with now is somebody that has pretty much put their entire life on hold to take care of someone. You don't necessarily know as a sibling what the day-to-day is like. And that's the thing, I think, that a lot of people think, well, when I visited mom and dad, we're fine. Well, mom and dad can always rise up to an occasion. Mom and dad can do these kind of things. But the thing that is interesting is that mom and dad also aren't going to tell the truth about a lot of things because of the pride factor. So I guess my question is, what should a person do when they start to protect themselves financially? Finally, when they say, I need help.
Yeah. First of all, that's it. Admitting that you need help and that you can look to a professional that can guide you through that. And that's not necessarily your investment advisor or CPA solely, but the team of your investment advisor and your CPA solely. And then a professional that can also bring in what the healthcare costs are going forward, which you alluded to with the assisted living building and so forth. But RBC Wealth Management came out with a paper about 3 or 4 years ago. And I don't mean to shock your listeners here, but it stated that if a person reaches age 65, their medical costs, even with Medicare factored in, are going to be over $440,000. And I'm involved with bringing resources in for clients with private duty or transferring them to assisted living. And the costs are not going down; they're only increasing. So people's money is not going as far as it once did, and that is a huge challenge for families. You
Absolutely
have to know where you stand.
And I want to bring up right before we leave this segment of healthcare. What happens if someone gets Alzheimer's? If they have a situation where catastrophic, a spouse gets a catastrophic illness, that would affect their financial stability, would it not?
Yes, it will affect their financial stability. It's going to have a huge impact. And what I tell and advise my clients is you want to have your emergency medical fund set aside, and at minimum you need $25,000 liquid in there.
Fabulous.
That will buy you some time to sit back and analyze and get your team together. Where are we going from here? And you can do some longer range planning. But if you're sitting there with $5,000 liquid, that could be gone literally in 2 weeks.
And that's so true. So everyone, Brynne and I, we're going to talk about in our next segment about what happens if people are not actively involved. How do you keep current? And we'll be right back right after this. We at Answers for Elders thank you for listening. Did you know that you can discover hundreds of podcasts in our library on senior care? So visit our website and discover our decision guides that will help you also navigate decision making. Find us at answersforelders.com.